Hey, Inspired Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers, John Nolan here. Thank you so much for tuning into this live stream. It's beautiful to see you all. If you hear some noise in the background today, that's our puppy Montana. She's going nuts over a new toy, really having fun back there. It's lovely to see you all, and I'm going to wait for a few people to jump on and welcome you all in the comments here. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Welcome on Rumble, welcome on YouTube. We're healthy, we're wealthy, we're whole, we're free. Isn't that beautiful? Healthy, wealthy, whole, and free. I think this is very, very important to remember. This has been the mantra of the Inspired live stream for a very, very long time. And very, very important to us. It's something energetically that happens when you keep reaffirming truths to yourself. Hey, 2Tim3, Chrome Salvation, BMX, good to see you. Tiariana. Is that Tiariana from Finland? Good to see you. Melissa is here. Let me see who else is jumping on. Just let us know in the comments. James is here. I saw that comment earlier, James. You made it in Inspired Newsroom. Mind, body, spirit, one voice, one soul. Beautiful from Oklahoma. Okay, boy. We got Gene Wilkinson. Ezra is here. Debbie, welcome from UK. Cynthia, thank you all for tuning in. We're going to just let people jump on. And I wanted to speak about something that has been a major learning curve for me over the years and decades. And something that, especially in our work with people, Christine and I had to learn a long time ago. And we continue to experience this, but it is something that's applicable to everyone. That's why I said millions of people are just realizing this right now. And it's kind of a relief. It's when we deprogram from this particular belief that is basically harming a lot of people. So a lot of you who are awakening to your true self, your true capabilities, seeing yourself actually for who you really are, but also seeing the world in a true light, you're naturally usually inclined to help others. You want others to see it too. You want them to experience this too. You want others to live their best life. You're usually wired that way. And here's what so often happens. I call it the Good Samaritan syndrome, is where you are so focused on helping others that you think you know better than they do what's best for them. And in that, you try to persuade them, you try to convince them, you try to talk them into it, you try to share more information, you try really, really hard to wake them up so they can see it too. And usually in the process, you lose your peace of mind, you lose a lot of energy, and you're not having a lot of success. And with people you love, you go above and beyond, right? So you push even harder, you try better. And the truth is that millions of people are right now realizing through these times, there comes a moment where you have to let them go. And the reason why this is so important is because when we believe that we know better than our spouse, better than our parents, better than our brothers and sisters, better than our friends, that we know better what's best for them, we rob them of their dignity. That's the first thing that happens inwardly, because we, at that point, we put ourselves above them and say, hey, I know what's best for you. You don't know this. And then we rob them of their dignity because we don't believe that free will and their ability to make the right choice for themselves applies there. Even if their choices harm them, those are their choices. And we're in a period right now where the split is becoming so obvious, right? I mean, I chose this picture for the thumbnail is because that's how it presents itself to me. People are glued to their screens, and that's where all of their information is coming from. Believe me, the irony is not lost on me that you're watching this on a screen and I'm coming to you from a screen. But I do think there's a lot of discernment and difference in how people perceive information. But basically, the picture that we're all seeing is people are glued to their screens. It doesn't matter what's happening around them. And whatever the screen says and shows them is true. And so they'll walk straight into the abyss, off the cliff, just because they're so glued to that stream of information and they can't be helped at it. That's the symbolism of this time that we're in. But it comes down to the most fundamental interrelationship patterns, like when people are experiencing addictions and you really want to help them, but they don't want to help themselves. I mean, who has ever seen that happening in their here? I'm the first one to raise my hand. Who's seen it in their family, in their friend circle? You know, people are addicted to a substance, and the substance doesn't really matter. The addiction is a trauma reaction, but you see it. They harm themselves. I mean, when they harm others, that's when we kind of have to step in and protect others. That's clear. But they harm themselves, and you think you can pull them out of it. But if they don't want it, there's nothing you can do. And the symbolism for me was always, I told this to someone in my life, close in my life, who always only wanted to complain to me. That's all they wanted to do. They wanted to call, complain, vent, and that's it. And I would suggest things. I would suggest solutions because I could see the solutions. I said, I can see a solution out of this for you. This is what you have to do, or this is what you could do. And they didn't want that. They just wanted to vent and cry about it and be the victim. And so I explained to them, here's what's happening. I'm stretching out my hand to you after having listened to you for so many times. You're lying on the ground. You're having a huge problem. It's like lying on the ground. I'm stretching out my arm to you. You can grab it and I'll help pull you up. You'll have to use just as much strength pulling yourself up, but I'll help you. What you're trying to do, I'm stretching out my arm. You're trying to pull me down. You want me to just vent with you, to just see you as a victim. And that's never going to happen. I've made that decision a long, long time ago. I will not be pulled down and lay there as a victim with others. If that's what they choose, that's what they choose. If it kills them, that's what's going to happen. And this is the crux where we're in right now. We need to accept that people are dying because of their choices. We need to accept that people are leaving this realm because they chose on a deeper level to do that. And we have to accept it. We cannot prevent them from making those choices when they're adult beings. I'm talking about adults, by the way, always. So we have to honor their free will and give them back their dignity by not putting ourselves above them and looking at them as choiceless beings. Because how people view you, and this is another aspect of this, we actually look at them, and even if they don't see themselves as empowered beings, we can still look at them as having the basic human properties. That means they can help themselves and they can ask for help, and then help will be given. If we don't see that, we disempower them by the way we view them. We then view them as victims of life. And this is a disempowerment circle that goes downward and does not help anyone. So what millions, and this is what we're seeing really, people are saying, I've had it. I love this man. I love this woman. I love this person in my life. I love my parent. I love my sister. I love my brother, but I am letting go. I did everything I could. They don't want to. And I'm taking back that energy and I'm keeping it and I'm investing it where it will fall on fertile ground, which means there are so many other people whom you will encounter who will need your knowledge, your expertise, your wisdom, what you can share with them, and who will be appreciative. And that's the flip side of this coin. When we free ourselves up, when we declutter, and when we release ourselves, give ourselves permission to leave those toxic, unhealthy situations and actually open ourselves up to new friendships, relationships, whatever, these people will walk into our field, and then something beautiful happens. When you, on the flip side of this, help someone, and helping someone to me is really, you do the right thing, and they're usually being helped in the process. It's not my intention to go out into the world and look for people that need help. My intention is I'll do the right thing regardless, right? I'll help someone even if they're rude to me, right? But as long as I know I can do something for them and that's the right thing to do in that situation, that's fine for me. But on the flip side of this, what usually happens is these people then that are ready and open and just need a little bit of assistance, they will walk into your life and you will freely share what you can. and they will gratefully accept what you have to offer. And in that, there will be an upward spiral energetically. You've experienced this, where all of a sudden you poured hours or days into something, but you feel energized and happy because you can see that it is falling on fertile ground, that it is really creating something beautiful, and that people are helped and people are experiencing shifts. And this is the difference. And this, we see this in a room of 30 people or so when we're doing the Yada retreats. Christine and I, we just did it a couple of weeks ago in Florida. And there's always the odd few, it's getting much lower, but there's always the odd one or two people that show up. They pay the full price. I mean, they pay the full price. They pay their way there. They pay for their accommodations. They invest that, and they don't show up on an inner level. They really don't want to go deeper. They really don't want the help we have to offer. And there used to be a time in my life where I would see it as a challenge to pull them in and say, come on, come on, come on, you can do this, come on. Now I'm like, okay, this is your choice. All you have to do is choose to show up and open yourself up to this experience. The rest we will do together. But if you don't do that basic fundamental thing, there's nothing I can do for you, and there's nothing I want to do for you. It's not my job to open you up. There's actually a guy that came to one of our retreats that was just pushing against all the time. He would sit there like this, and he wouldn't open up at all, and that was okay. No one pushed him. But then there was one time, and I thought, okay, let's make this a provocative experience, because provoking is part of the process. It needs to happen at times. So I said, okay, dude, come on. Why are you here? What brought you into this room? You don't want to participate. You don't want to open up. You're not willing to go the distance. Why the fuck are you here? And so he says the same things that he said over the days. And I said, no, that's all bullshit. You're just talking in circles. You're not speaking the truth. You're not speaking from your heart. What's going on in there? What's really happening? Eventually, he started opening up a little bit. And I said, now we're getting somewhere. And then he said, yeah, I'm a tough nut to crack, right? And you have to put in a lot of effort to crack me. And I said, no, buddy, you're getting it all wrong. It's not my job to crack you. I didn't come here to crack you open. You came here because you wanted to experience something, and I'm here because we're providing the circumstances, and we're providing the space where this experience can happen, and we're guiding through it. But I'm not going to crack you open. And this has been such an important learning experience in my life. I don't crack anyone open. When people show up ready to shift and change their lives, then you will be there and do what you can to help them do that, because it's your natural inclination, because your talents are required. But if they don't show up, there's absolutely nothing you can do. And that's the realization that I'm seeing, thankfully, so many people are having, because it's been draining them. It's been, they've been losing their energy. They've been losing everything on trying to help people who don't want help. And on a large scale, a lot of people are making their exit right now. A lot of people are moving into very insane worlds and ways of thinking and ways of being. And we have to let them go. We have to accept that's their journey. We have to accept that's their free will, where we have to step in and say stop is where it harms others or harms children. So that's where you go. No, this is where we draw the line. We're going to protect ourselves and protect our children from this. But if that's what you want for your life, we have to accept it. And you will see that a shift will happen, and your focus will shift over. And then what you actually will do and how you will apply yourself to the world around you will be very, very helpful to yourself and others. And this is where synergies happen. This is where energy expansion happens. This is where consciousness rises and amazing solutions appear. This is truly what this moment is all about. So the people that say, and people have said this to me over and over in comments again, you shouldn't, or you should, and you should help these people who can't see it, and you should have endless compassion for the bullshit they're spewing. I said, no, I don't have endless compassion, and I don't have an endless desire to help people. I simply don't. It's the truth. I'll help if someone asks me to, or I'll point them in the right direction if I'm not the right person, but I don't have endless compassion, and I don't have a desire to help everyone. Simple as that. I have a clear intention to do the right thing every day, as I show up. And sometimes I might fail at that, but that's my intention every day. I give thanks for the right guidance, and usually it works out pretty well. And I just wanted to come on and encourage you, because you might have already realized this, but you still felt like, no, today I'm going to give them a call. And if I can just explain it better, maybe they'll finally see it. And I'm telling you, don't make that call. Let them call you, first of all. And second of all, if and only if someone is open and willing to accept help, can you do something. And then what you do has great impact. So this is, I think, where we stand collectively. And I think it is an inner choice that we make. And when we make it, our lives begin to change accordingly. That's always the case. And I see society, the mainstream block of society, they are walking off the cliff. And there is absolutely nothing you can do about it other than giving yourself permission to accept it and accepting their free will and seeing their dignity in the process. Because chances are, even if you don't believe in reincarnation, chances are that on a different level, you've had these experiences before, and you had to walk down the same road a few times before you realized what your learning experience was. And that's what really it's all about. Whether we can learn from our experiences and do it different. I used to be someone who could not for the life of me accept help. I was someone who was kind of, maybe subconsciously, but I think I grew up in the belief I had to be able to do everything myself. And to a certain extent, it has served me, because I'm still always willing to learn something new so I can help myself in the best possible way. So I'll go and if it's a new skill, well, then I'll acquire the new skill, right? But I also realize there are certain limitations in fields that I have. And now, over the last years, I've really allowed myself to accept help more and more. And that is my learning experience as well. Knowing how to do something, knowing how to solve your own problems is a great thing, but sometimes we can't see the problem for what it is. Sometimes we are in the way. It's kind of like you can't see the forest for the trees, the analogy. And so that too goes for us. That's the other side of this equation, is we also have to be willing to see, where am I not finding the right solution? Where could I possibly, open myself up to help? And then, say thank you. It's something that Christine reminds me often. She says, you're having a hard time accepting gifts and presents when they present themselves. And I try to reject that at first and go, no, I'm cool with that. But if I'm honest with myself, yeah, sometimes I'm having a hard time accepting. I always want there to be an immediate exchange of energy and value. Although I realize in my life, sometimes that person gives something to me and I pass it on to the next person later. And there is a cycle that happens. And sometimes it's not directly an exchange of value. So yeah, we're all in this learning experience. We're all expanding. But here's the ultimate destination or beginning of the journey of today's live stream is we need focus, energy, attention, intention, and consciousness for everything that we're currently walking through. We really need to be at the top of our game, because we're dealing with so many distractions, so many attacks, so many variables in this reality right now, that we really need to be focused, heart-centered, and coherent, and all these things. Our current experience demands of us to be at the top of our game. And we can only be that when we are energized, when we are healthy, and when we are whole on as many levels as possible. And that's why I think this is also important. So we do not deplete ourselves in trying to save someone who does not want it. That's also part of this whole equation. So there's multiple variables, but ultimately it all leads back to our inner empowerment and what we do with the knowledge and the wisdom we've gathered, right? And how we use it effectively. Yeah. As I said, I believe this is the next step in this. And how will it manifest in the world? Well, we're always talking about these two timelines, right? It's really binary, because one is artificial technological, one is moving to nature. And in these two timelines, the the more whole you are, the more wholesome you are, the more you've healed, the more the natural timeline will be your natural choice, and the better you will be able to help those who need assistance and ask for it to shift over. So that's why I think we're at this pinnacle of polarity and pinnacle of stupidity in many ways. I think it's to make things so clear for us, to make the contrast so clear. We've decided on this experience ultimately on a level, and thankfully we didn't fully realize how challenging it was going to be, or we wouldn't have come here and delayed the experience because it was always going to happen. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Wishing you all a wonderful end of the week. The words that we use, I'm sometimes reminded, weekend, weakened. We're weakened from the week, weakened as in not strong. So I'm wishing you a wonderful rest of the days here, rest of the week. A Saturday and Sunday rolling in, depending on where you are. And for some reason, the programming is still here that people rest better on these days than they do from Monday through Friday. Not everyone, but most people. It's still kind of in our heads. And I love Christine's approach. She has forgotten a long time ago what day it is, what date it is, and sometimes even what month it is. Beautiful. I love that. And I'm learning too. All right, Inspired Tribe, thank you again. Love you all very, very much. Have a blessed and wonderful day. We'll be back with you again very, very soon.